Walt Disney understood something many modern storytellers seem to forget. Sincerity is sacred. During production of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Disney famously told his animators that the film's success would hinge on one moment: the death of Snow White. If audiences could cry for a cartoon princess, he said, they'd buy everything else. And he was right. That moment wasn't cynical, ironic, a deconstruction, or played for laughs. It was heartfelt, bold, and unabashedly sincere. The tears people shed weren't a gimmick. They were a triumph. Today, I want to talk about the opposite. I recently played Clair Obscur Expedition 33, and I am going to be talking about spoilers. Within the first hour, the Gomage scene had me sobbing. It was that good out of the gate, and it stayed good. The world was rich, its tone melancholic but hopeful, and its characters genuinely endearing. I was all in. When Gustave died much later and we got to the funeral scene, I was a visible wreck and almost had to pause the stream to compose myself. I mourned openly for a video game character. As we got to what seemed to be the end game, I waited for all the things that weren't explained to make sense. I had my hypotheses. I tried to pay attention to the foreshadowing and clues. But as I silently watched the reveal of it all slowly unfold, my opinion of the game slowly shifted. It started with trepidation because there were a lot of clues and loose ends strongly hinting the game wasn't over. Then when all of Lumiere gomaged, instead of feeling the same sadness I felt at the beginning, I was confused and almost angry. Then when the truth of this world was finally explained, yeah. The twist made sense, I guess, but I felt hollow. The emptiness soon became filled with disappointment and then, oddly, embarrassment. It took me a while to figure out why I felt the things I felt. I eventually realized it was because I felt another game I was ready to love pulled the rug out from under me. Sure, characters who were erased returned, but given the new context from the big reveal, they didn't feel real anymore. The story essentially reframed everything as manipulated, synthetic, or illusory, and I realized I couldn't suspend my disbelief anymore. I didn't care anymore. I didn't care about these characters or their plights. They felt fake to me. And, well, why should I care about something that's fake? The twist killed my enjoyment so hard, I almost chose not to complete the game. This isn't the first time I'd experienced something like this. Asgard's Wrath pulled a similar idea, and that twist upset me so badly, it compelled me to make a whole video just so I could rank it as the #1 worst ending in a video game. Up until that point, it felt like the Ocarina of Time of VR. I was deeply invested. Then it revealed that none of it mattered, and I felt almost tricked into loving it. Even second-hand examples sting more now. I haven't played Drawn to Life or Link's Awakening, but I've heard about their endings and how the characters or world you grew attached to turn out to be dreams or fabrications. They were told to me by people who clearly have a great fondness for these games, so I didn't really have a problem with them. But now, having been personally gutted by similar twists, I think I might have hated those too if I experienced them myself. But, I don't know. Is it just me? Looking around at people's opinions, I'm definitely in the minority on this one. This game has clearly made an impact on people. So, what am I missing? What is making Clair Obscur work for people and not something like, say, Star Ocean? Yeah, that's often remembered for its infamous twist that the entire universe is a simulation. It retroactively redefines everything the player experienced as artificial, and for many, it reduces emotional investment to a footnote in a cosmic tech demo. The twist didn't reframe the story with nuance, it undercut it entirely. It didn't add depth, it dismissed meaning. Now, clearly not everyone agrees, as some of these kinds of twists are regarded by many as bold or deep. Others argue that if a twist like this was foreshadowed, it's justified. And to be fair, I don't think that the writers of Clair Obscur or even Asgard's Wrath were trying to be insincere with their stories. Looking back, they seem to be honestly trying to make a clever twist, which didn't seem to bother most people. However, I don't like treating storytelling as some logic puzzle. For me, it's more like an emotional contract. If you spend hours making me care about a character only to pull back the curtain and go, "Gotcha, they were fake all along," then I don't know how I'm not supposed to feel like what happened was an emotional betrayal. It wasn't just a shift in the story. It made me feel foolish for ever caring in the first place. There's a difference between subversion and sabotage. Subversion is supposed to honor the emotional truth and find a new angle on it. Sabotage devalues it, sometimes retroactively. It turns heartfelt moments into props. Good subversion acknowledges the player's investment and builds on it. Take Nier Automata, for example. Its multiple endings don't invalidate what came before, they deepen it. The final ending isn't a denial of the pain you felt through the game, it's a recognition of it. You've been through a heartbreak, through sacrifice, and the game dares to ask, what if we believed in something better anyway? That's subversion with soul. Spec Ops: The Line is another example. Its twist doesn't erase your experience, it forces you to confront it. It respects your emotional responses even as it challenges them. You don't feel duped, you feel implicated. I could have stopped playing the game at any point, but I had to continue. I had to try and fix things. I had to feel like a hero. And calling me out like that was powerful. Or in Kingdom Hearts 2, Roxas had a very appropriate reaction, to say the least, after learning his memories and friendships were fabricated. He raged. We felt that rage alongside him. We shared his pain. And that emotional honesty is what grounded the twist and made it resonate. Bad subversion, by contrast, treats emotion like a trick. Asgard's Wrath and Clair Obscur take the sincerity they encouraged and seemingly discard it for shock value. It feels like I'm being told, look how clever we are, rather than look how much this meant. The result is whiplash instead of enlightenment. What frustrates me most is that these games do their job so well in the beginning. They earn your laughs, your tears, and your wide-eyed wonder. They convince you to let your guard down and feel something real. And instead of honoring that emotional openness, it's cast aside as if it were worthless. As to why I felt embarrassed, it wasn't for crying on stream. That kind of vulnerability doesn't scare me. Not anymore. What embarrasses me is the sense that I offered the story my suspension of disbelief in good faith, and it took that courtesy for granted. It accepted my emotional investment, then used it as kindling for a clever plot twist. That doesn't just feel careless, it feels disrespectful. So no, I don't feel ashamed for crying over Gustav. I feel ashamed for trusting the game to lead me on a sincere emotional journey. Now, I don't think games should stop trying to surprise us, and maybe I'm being too harsh. At the end of it all, I'm happy Clair Obscur is getting all the love, accolades, and respect it's getting. Because despite how I personally feel about the twist, I still think the game deserves to be a success, especially for its writing. The creators of this game were clearly skilled enough to make me care, but because they are so unbelievably adept at their job, I do think it's all the more imperative that they understand the weight of emotional investment. Players who cry aren't being naive, they're doing what great stories ask us to do. Walt Disney knew the truth. If they cry, you've won. Why choose to spit on that victory?